There is a very specific moment in the spiritual awakening process when a great irony reveals itself before your eyes. You discover a truth so obvious, so radiant and transformative that your first impulse is to run out and shout it to the four winds. However, the chosen one soon realizes that there is a sacred reason to keep this discovery a secret. This truth is not dangerous in the usual sense of the word, but it is powerful enough to unbalance those who are not yet ready to hear it. Awakening is not about gaining something new, but about realizing that the veil of reality is a game we all agreed to play. Revealing this secret directly can, curiously, prevent people from discovering it on their own. Along the way, you understand that silence is not a mission, but an act of deep compassion. If we hand over the final map to someone who is still learning to walk, we rob them of the beauty of the journey and the strength that only personal discovery can bring. That is why the chosen ones learn to speak in parables and to teach through their own silent example. In this reflection, we will explore why this secret must be kept and how you can live this truth without needing to proclaim it. We will understand that the greatest revolution does not happen in the noise of speeches, but in the silent resonance between hearts that have already begun to vibrate at the same frequency. The secret is hidden in the most obvious place possible. I am George, and I invite you to dive with me into this mystery that we all carry, but few have the courage to admit. Before we reveal why your light must shine without fanfare, I ask that you follow our channel now. Join this community of chosen ones who guard the flame of truth while walking through the world with wisdom. The greatest paradox a chosen one faces upon awakening is realizing that the journey they walked with so much sacrifice was, in fact, a walk around themselves. For years, we were taught that enlightenment or spiritual success were distant destinations, something that required effort, complicated techniques, and superhuman discipline. However, the hidden truth is that you already are exactly what you are looking for. Imagine a man who spends his entire life searching for his glasses, turning the house upside down, and asking everyone for help, without realizing that the glasses are on his face the whole time. That is what awakening is like. The observer is the observed. The ocean is the very wave that for a moment believed it was separate from the vastness. The truth must be kept secret because the logical mind cannot accept something so simple without turning it into an ego trophy. If you tell someone who is still at the height of their search that there is nothing to do, that person might abandon the path, or worse, use it as an excuse for inertia. The chosen one understands that the search is necessary to exhaust the ego. Only when the seeker gets tired of looking outside does he finally allow himself to look within and realize that the treasure was always beneath his feet. Keeping this secret is an act of wisdom, revealing that you've already arrived to someone who hasn't yet felt that in their soul is like giving the solution to a math problem before the student has learned how to add. You rob them of the experience of discovery. The hidden truth is that enlightenment is not an achievement, but the total surrender of trying to become something you already are at your core. Throughout history, the great masters were often considered mysterious or even irritating figures. They rarely gave direct answers to their disciples. Instead, they told stories, used parables, or answered with even deeper questions. They did this because they knew that spiritual truth cannot be transmitted as a piece of information. It can only be experienced as an internal revelation. When you try to explain awakening directly, the words become traps. The mind loves to collect concepts. If you say the self is an illusion, the person rushes to write that down in a notebook and starts believing they've understood the mystery. But understanding intellectually is not awakening. It's just trading an old belief for a new one. The chosen one keeps the secret in order not to feed others' intellects with more empty concepts. The hidden truth must be protected because words are limited. They are like fingers pointing to the moon. If you focus too much on the finger, you'll never see the beauty of the moon. Revealing the truth openly creates dogmas and religions. People stop looking where the master pointed and start worshiping the finger that points. The chosen one prefers silence or the use of skillful means, so the other can reach their own conclusion. There is immense responsibility in carrying this clarity. You realize that talking too much can delay the other's process. Sometimes the best teaching is allowing the person to suffer a bit more with their own illusions until they themselves cry out for the truth. The silence of the chosen one is not a lack of compassion. It is a deep respect for the maturation time of each consciousness inhabiting this world. When a chosen one decides to keep the truth hidden, they do not become an isolated or cold being. On the contrary, they learn the art of being a mirror for others. Since they no longer have an image of themselves to defend, they are able to reflect both the light and the shadow of whoever is in front of them. They do not impose their truth, but create a safe space where the other can begin to question their own lies. Being a mirror means meeting people exactly where they are. If someone is attached to a ritual or a practice, the chosen one does not say that it is useless. They encourage the practice until the practitioner themselves realizes that the tool is no longer necessary. It is like using a thorn to remove another thorn embedded in the skin. After removing the first, you throw them both away. This way of acting requires a humility that the world rarely understands. The chosen one does not want to be a guru or a leader followed by crowds. They prefer to move through the world invisibly, acting like water that nourishes everything without asking for recognition. They keep the secret of their awakening so that their personality does not become an obstacle to those who observe them. The focus must always be on the truth, not on the one who carries it. By keeping the secret, you protect the purity of your own realization. If you try to convince the world, you re-enter the duality of me against them. By remaining silent and acting with integrity, you allow your presence to do the work. The hidden truth is that the real transmission of wisdom happens from heart to heart, on a plane that words will never be able to reach. The society we live in functions like a giant theater, where everyone has agreed to take the script very seriously. This script includes believing that money has absolute value, that noble titles or corporate positions define who we are, and that the borders on the map are real divisions between human beings. The chosen one awakens and realizes that all of this is, in fact, a collective mental construction. However, here lies one of the most practical reasons for keeping this truth hidden: the preservation of the order necessary to the game. Imagine if, overnight, everyone decided that laws, contracts, and social rules are just illusions. The collapse would be immediate, and would bring unimaginable suffering to billions of people who still depend on these structures to survive and find a basic sense of security. The chosen one understands that, as long as we are in this body and in this dimension, we are still part of the game. They do not become an anarchist trying to destroy the system, but rather a conscious player. They pay their taxes, fulfill their obligations, and respect the laws, but they do all this with absolute inner lightness. They know they are playing chess. They follow the rules, but they don't suffer if they lose a piece, because they know it's just wood on a board. Keeping the truth a secret allows the chosen one to operate efficiently in the world without causing unnecessary chaos. If you shout to someone who is desperate for money that money is just an idea, you won't be helping. You will only be being insensitive. Wisdom lies in knowing that the game is an illusion, but acting with the necessary seriousness so as not to harm those who still firmly believe in the reality of the theatrical play. This duality demands constant balance. You live in the world, but you are not of the world. You see the masks, but you do not rip them off others' faces by force. The chosen one learns to give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, recognizing that each structure has its temporary usefulness in human development. Keeping the secret is, therefore, an act of social and spiritual responsibility to maintain the balance of life. There is an almost poetic beauty in the fact that the universal consciousness chose to forget who it is in order to experience life through billions of limited perspectives. Awakening is the moment when consciousness begins to remember. But the chosen one realizes something profound. Forgetting is not a mistake or a flaw. It is an essential part of the soul's learning and expansion process. If we were all born with full memory of our divinity and unity, the human experience would lose its flavor and its purpose of overcoming. It's like watching a movie knowing every detail of the ending. The emotion is lost. That's why, when the chosen one sees someone deeply immersed in confusion, in pain, or in the frantic search for something external, they feel a compassion that goes beyond judgment. They understand that the soul might be needing exactly that experience of forgetting in order to mature. Sometimes, the dive into darkness is what gives the necessary push toward the search for light. If you interrupt someone's process by revealing the naked truth before its time, you may be taking from that person the opportunity for a unique lesson that only overcoming the illusion can provide. Keeping the secret is an exercise in patience and humility. It's accepting that you are not the savior of the world, but merely an observer who respects each being's timing. The chosen one does not look down on those who are asleep, but with the affection of someone looking at a younger sibling having a restless dream. They know that, in due time, everyone will wake up on their own. This hidden truth teaches us not to force someone else's awakening. The universe is exploring all the nuances of existence, including the experience of being lost. When you stop wanting everyone to see what you see, you finally discover the peace of allowing life to express itself in all its colors, shadows, and confusions. The chosen one's silence is the silent embrace that allows the other to be who they are in that moment. Many people, when they hear about awakened beings, imagine exotic figures wearing white robes and emanating visible light. However, the wisest strategy of the chosen ones to keep the truth hidden is extreme simplicity. True awakening makes a person extraordinarily ordinary. They don't seek pedestals, they don't desire to be worshipped, and they don't care to appear spiritual to the outside world. By hiding under the cloak of normalcy, the chosen one protects both themselves and others. If they presented themselves as a guru endowed with special powers, they would attract dependent followers who seek miracles instead of their own truth. Normality acts as a filter. Only those who are truly ready to see beyond the surface will be able to perceive the depth that exists in such a simple being. The chosen one enjoys moving through the world invisibly. They might be the baker, the engineer, or the bus driver. They carry out their daily tasks with full attention and a silent kindness that asks for nothing in return. This hiding place allows them to help people organically, without the burden of expectation or personality worship. True spirituality doesn't need a uniform or a specific vocabulary. This conscious ordinariness is the greatest protection against spiritual ego. When you don't appear different on the outside, you avoid the trap of feeling special or superior. The chosen one knows that their essence is the same as everyone else's. The only difference is that they are aware of it, while others are not. Yet, by being ordinary, they show that freedom is not a privilege for a few, but a real possibility in the midst of routine. Moreover, being ordinary allows the chosen one to live a more balanced and healthy life. They don't need to sustain the image of a perfect being who never fails. They allow themselves to be human, to feel tired, and to have preferences, because they know that none of this diminishes their connection with the Absolute. They keep the secret of their enlightenment, stored in the vault of daily life, revealing it only through nameless acts of love and a presence that heals without needing to speak. Society functions like a theater, where everyone has agreed to take the script very seriously. This script includes believing that money defines a man's value, that job titles define who we are, and that borders are real divisions. The Chosen One awakens and realizes that all of this is a collective mental construct. However, there is a practical reason to keep this truth hidden: the preservation of the order necessary for the game. Imagine if everyone suddenly decided that laws and rules are illusions. The collapse would bring terrible suffering to those who still depend on these structures to feel safe. The Chosen One understands that, while inhabiting this body, he is still part of the game. He does not become a rebel trying to destroy the system, but rather a conscious player. He pays his taxes, fulfills his obligations, and respects the laws. But he does so with absolute inner lightness. He knows he's playing chess. He follows the rules precisely, but does not suffer if he loses a piece, because he knows it's just wood on a board. Keeping the truth a secret allows him to operate efficiently without causing unnecessary alarm. Revealing that none of this is real to someone who is desperate is not spirituality. It's insensitivity. Wisdom lies in knowing that the game is an illusion, but acting with the seriousness needed not to harm those who believe in it. You don't take a toy from a child before they are mature enough to let go of it. This duality requires balance. You live in the world, but you are not of it. The Chosen One gives to Caesar what is Caesar's, recognizing that each social structure has its temporary usefulness in human development. Keeping the secret is an act of responsibility. By keeping your perception hidden under a layer of conformity, you protect the balance of life and avoid being marginalized before fulfilling your silent purpose. In the end, society is the stage where the soul experiences itself. The Chosen One respects the other actors in the script, even while knowing the play is fiction. He understands that truth is free, but order is necessary for collective learning. By keeping the secret, he ensures that the game continues to function for those who still need it, while enjoying the freedom of being the only one in the room who knows that the theater lights will one day go out for everyone, revealing that the play was never what truly mattered. There is a poetic beauty in the fact that universal consciousness chose to forget its nature to experience life through billions of unique perspectives. Awakening is when this consciousness begins to remember. But the Chosen One realizes that forgetting is not a mistake. It is an essential part of the expansion process. If we were all born with full memory of our divinity, the human experience would lose its purpose of overcoming. It would be like watching a movie knowing every line of dialogue. The emotion would be lost. That's why the Chosen One feels compassion for those immersed in confusion or in the pursuit of power. He understands that the soul may need exactly that dense experience of forgetting in order to mature. Often, the plunge into darkness provides the necessary push for the genuine search for light. If you interrupt someone's process by revealing the naked truth too early, you may be robbing them of the opportunity for a lesson that only overcoming their own illusion can provide. Keeping the secret is an exercise in patience and unconditional love. It is accepting that you are not the savior of the world, but an observer who respects each being's sacred timing. The Chosen One does not look upon those who are asleep with superiority, but with the tenderness of someone watching a younger sibling having a restless dream. He knows that, in due time, everyone will awaken. This hidden truth teaches the art of non-interference. The universe explores all nuances, including the pain of being lost. When you stop wanting everyone to see what you see, you discover the peace of allowing life to manifest in all its colors and shadows. The silence of the chosen one is an invisible embrace that allows the other to be who they are in the moment, without the rush to transform them. The attempt to wake someone up by force is often just the ego playing a game, seeking validation. The true master knows that the best moment to speak is when someone asks for help. Compassion lies in allowing the other to live their illusion until it becomes unbearable on its own. It is the suffering generated by illusion that acts as the master that pushes the being back home. Respecting another's forgetting is honoring the greater plan of consciousness, realizing that separation is a necessary dream so that the final reunion may be full and conscious. Many seek awakening imagining that it will turn them into exotic figures or robe-wearing gurus. However, the wisest strategy of the chosen ones to keep the truth hidden is extreme simplicity. Awakening does not make a person special in the eyes of the world. It makes them extraordinarily ordinary. The chosen one does not seek pedestals, nor desires to be worshipped. By hiding under the cloak of normality, they protect themselves and the path of others. If they presented themselves with mystical powers, they would attract dependent followers in search of miracles, rather than people ready to do the inner work. Normality acts as a filter. Only those ready to see beyond the surface will perceive the peace that resides in that simple being. The chosen one moves invisibly. They might be the baker, the engineer, or the bus driver. They perform their tasks with full attention and a kindness that asks for nothing in return. This disguise allows them to help others organically, without the weight of personality cults. This conscious ordinariness is the greatest protection against spiritual ego. When you do not stand out through clothes or vocabulary, you avoid the poison of feeling superior. Being ordinary allows the chosen one to live an integrated life. They do not need to uphold the mask of a perfect being who never fails or gets tired. They allow themselves to be fully human because they know that none of this diminishes their connection with the Absolute. They keep the secret of enlightenment in the vault of everyday life, revealing it only through acts of patience and a presence that brings comfort. In today's world, where everyone fights to be noticed, the greatest revolution is the willingness to be nobody. The chosen one discovers that there is immense power in not needing a special identity to feel complete. Embrace your humanity and your ordinary life. Don't try to convince others that you are a chosen one. Let the secret remain hidden behind your simplicity. When you stop trying to be special, you become free to be everything. The truth doesn't need advertising. It shines through a clear gaze and an unselfish gesture. Being ordinary is the highest form of divinity on earth, because it allows the light to manifest without the noise of pride, showing that freedom is available to anyone, anywhere, in the midst of the simplest routine. We've reached the end of this journey, but for the chosen one, the end is always a new beginning. Keeping the hidden truth is not an act of selfishness, but a demonstration of wisdom and deep love for the process of others. As we've seen, the secret isn't hidden in distant mountains, but in the simplicity of the now and the courage to be ordinary. By keeping this flame protected in your silence, you allow it to shine even brighter through your actions, and not just your words. Living awakened in a world that still sleeps requires patience. Remember that every person you meet is fighting a battle you know well. Be the mirror that reflects peace, the player who knows the rules of the theater but doesn't get lost in them, and the presence that welcomes without judgment. Your greatest mission is to remain true to your own discovery, without the need to convince anyone, letting your life itself be the most eloquent teaching. Now, I would really love to hear from you. Awakening is a unique path, but we share the same lessons and challenges. Have you ever felt the need to be silent to protect your peace or someone else's journey? Have you noticed how the simplicity of being nobody brings a freedom no title can offer? I am George, and this space was created so that chosen ones like you can feel understood and strengthened. Please comment below with your experience or a word that sums up what you felt today. Your interaction helps our community grow and keep this network of consciousness active. Don't forget to like and share if this content touched your soul. See you at the next awakening.